yourself under my protection.
Big man in a suit of armor. Take that off, what are you?
Let's put a smile on that face.
I'm touching myself tonight.
How can a woman possibly fight this?
There are two things I want to do. I want an American cheeseburger.
What's up guys, Uz here from Views from the Cave, and as you can see I'm in the cave and these are my views, and today I wanted to make a video about the worst sources of information on YouTube. Now, contrary to popular belief, I am not 3 foot tall. I'm actually just sitting here in the cave there so you guys can see the collection and stuff there behind me because I've had a few questions and stuff that come in about it. However, the reason why I wanted to make this video is because I have this thing, right? And you'll see in a lot of my videos there that I really hate people who are basically trying to earn money by deception or try to earn popularity by deception, whether it's intentionally or not intentionally. And I've found, having watched YouTube there for a while, especially been around the kind of scene where we're watching, you know, comic book YouTubers, you know, popular YouTubers there when they're talking about pop culture and stuff like that. There is a particular kind of way that a lot of these guys operate, and there is a particular cabal of individuals there who have become quite popular, and these guys are seen as kind of like big sources of information. And I wanted to kind of you know, reiterate to you guys why these guys are not great sources of information and how they're trying to play you. Now, like I said, I don't have anything personal against these guys. I don't have anything that I can say that, you know, I don't know these people, I've never met them. However, there are particular traits that they follow, and when you actually watch their videos, you can see that these traits are coming to fruition. So I want to go through each one of these people individually and let you guys know exactly how to kind of pick these bits out. So the first guy that I want to talk about is Comic Book Cast, aka Armin, aka the source of no information. Now, this guy is one of the most prolific video makers on YouTube and has made thousands and thousands of videos. Unfortunately, many of those videos are total and utter garbage, and the reason is that he lives up to the name that I've given him, called the robot. Now, basically what a robot does is a robot is programmed to do one particular thing. It keeps doing it again and again and again, and it's basically made by its creator to follow a particular task, right? It's really good at repeating information, and that's exactly what Armin does. What he does is he goes on Reddit, he goes on DC Cinematic, he goes to DCEU leaks, he goes to the MCU leaks, and he goes to MCU Cinematic, and literally all he does is takes a bit of information from that, right, and then goes and makes a video about it and parrots it as if it's like his own sources have come and made this information. Now, how do I know about this? The reason why I know about this is because I used to do that myself, and I without doubt some of the most idiotic videos ever made back in the day when I used to have a YouTube channel. I used to do the same thing, and quite often I would get to make those videos before Armin had actually put those videos out. There'll be something that I'd read on MCU leaks or something on DCEU leaks, and I put a video straight out about it and say, look, this is the rumor about this is the rumored slate, etc, etc. This guy does exactly the same thing. However, I kind of learned that this is basically a fool's errand, a stupid thing to do, and there are better things to do with your time. However, this guy is still continuing. So if you want to listen to a robot who basically goes and parrots out stuff from Reddit continuously, he's your man. So the next guy is what we call the bait and switch, and actually when I see this guy's videos, there are certain videos that he makes that I actually like there quite a lot. This guy is called Eric Julie. Now he makes a lot of videos there about comic books, and he is a comic book aficionado. He knows a lot about comic books. He orders recent comic books there as well, and he does his research there. When it comes to comic books, he knows a lot. However, what he doesn't know a lot about is the inner workings of the healthcare system, the inner workings of the economic system, But because of the fact that he has basically put himself out there and he is what I consider to be an expert in the comic book field, what he does is that there's that bait and switch that comes there, a classic bait and switch where it's basically like, look, I'm an expert in comic books, right? So if I'm an expert in comic books, then surely I must be an expert in politics, health, epidemiology, etc. And some of the recent videos that this guy is making about the pandemic are the most ridiculous piece of garbage I've ever seen. You can tell that this guy has no idea on how to read a study, how to interpret data, but he is putting himself off as an expert. The classic bait and switch that I'm an expert in one thing, so I must be an expert in something else. Now this is one of my favorite ones, which is the OneTrick Pony. Now the OneTrick Pony is somebody who basically tries to kind of play the algorithms of YouTube, of Twitter, etc., and literally has one subject that they talk about. However, what happens is that they become this kind of link to this one particular kind of slant of information, one particular way to present an information. And what happens is, after they've created hundreds and hundreds of videos on this particular type, then what happens is they are seen as like an authority figure about that particular type of video. And this guy, Geeks and Gamers, is the classic OneTrick Pony. Basically what he does is that he takes every single bit of news that comes out and then puts it on the slant of, you know, we say anti in the UK, but anti-left, whatever. Basically every single non-conservative thing that you can think about, he puts a slant based on that. So what he does is he's become this one-trick pony, and if you want any source of information with a ridiculous political stance that only goes in one sphere, then this is the guy to follow. If you want something that is actually nuanced and balanced, total waste of time. Now let's move on to the Be Like Me guy. Now the Be Like Me guy is the one who is like the guy on your street, right? The guy who lives down your street, who you know, who you are happy that he's actually made a success of himself. You know, he's tried hard, he's made a success of himself. However, what this person tries to do is basically they are looking at YouTube in effect as a business, and what they're trying to do is basically make as much money as they possibly can off the YouTube business. Now, the way that they do that is they purport themselves as an expert in the field by showing themselves in particular situations, and the way that you can tell this is they'll go and they'll take a photo, for example, with Patty Jenkins or with Gal Gadot or with Zack Snyder or etc. And then what will happen is that people will be like, whoa, okay, he's hanging around with Gal Gadot, he's hanging around with Patty Jenkins, he's hanging around with Zack Snyder. He's met these people at conventions and shows. However, he is showing it in a way that it looks like, look, I'm in with these people, look at me, you know, be like me, you want to be in that position. And basically because of that, people end up giving money, they end up giving donations to this particular person because they want to live vicariously through that person. And basically what it is that person then plays themselves as an authority figure by putting themselves in positions that it makes themselves look like an authority, like standing next to a famous person there. They themselves actually do not have any information. And this particular guy, Jody's Corner, I was on one of his live streams once, and one of the guys that was on there said, oh, the thing about us is because we're in LA, we get loads of information. This is absolute garbage, right? That is basically like saying, I live near a hospital, so I know the inner workings of this hospital, right? Imagine saying, I live in London, so I know exactly what the Prime Minister's next move is gonna be, right? Or say for example, oh, I live next to Pinewood Studios, so I know the entire story of the Bond film. Do you know how ridiculous that sounds? Do you know how absolutely moronic that kind of thought process is? But people fall for it because there's that continuous thing where they're showing themselves in those positions. The same way that if you continuously stood outside a hospital and took photos of yourself and took photos with doctors and nurses and stuff like that, and then said, I've got some inside information about this, people will believe it because they'll be like, wait a second, this guy, I've seen him in front of hospitals. He must be being told something. And this is exactly what this guy does. So the final one is one of our favorites, of course, John Campea. Everybody's seen John Campea videos, seen him back in the day with Collide and back in before that with AMC Talk. And if you want to see how much of a garbage company AMC is, you can see in one of my other videos there in Views from the Cave, where I tell you why they're such a trash company. But anyway, I digress. Talking about John Campea there himself, John Campea is a guy who's been living off past glories. Right now, what he does is that he says that, look, I live in Burbank, California. I live nearby these people. I used to be on this, I used to be on that. And because of that, people put him in a particular sphere of being some kind of authoritative figure, that people are giving him information, etc. Now, he won't just give you this information. He won't just let you have this information out. What he does is that he will allow you to receive this information if you give him a little bit of money. And most of the information that he ends up sending out is being prompted by people's questions, etc. And then he gives his little spin on it. However, he acts as if he's got inside information about that particular thing that you're giving. So what happens is that then makes the circle keep going round and round, and you get people who are Patreon subscribers, etc. They keep giving him money to try and get him to answer questions of inside information. It's very much like Scientology, where basically it's like, look, we'll give you the highest level of information that we can do, but it's gonna cost you, right? And that's exactly what John Campea does. Anyway, guys, let me know what you think in the comments there down below. Do you agree with me? Do you think that these guys are good source of information, or do you think that they're bad source of information? Like I said, you can leave your comments down below, and you can also message us on dcvsmarvelpod@gmail.com, or go to our website, dcvsmarvelpodcast.com. Until then, guys, we'll see you again for the next video, which is about Disney.